upon a time there was truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hey, Jordan Sheridan live. Status quo in the house. Oh my lord. Again. I forgot that wearing anything that looks green will look funky on the live stream. I forgot. So what I'm going to do is quickly, at the beginning of my live stream, change. They don't call us a startup for nothing, folks. Jordan Sheridan in the house, Friday afternoon. It wasn't bad. Well, I didn't like the little simmering look. So we'll put that one into the latest bloopers. So Friday, quite the news week, and Status Quo will be back in the field this weekend. One of our reporters is en route right now to cover something in Arizona. I'll be going to Newark tomorrow to cover the water crisis there. So getting back out where we belong in the field, thanks to you. But we have other news going on today. I will say, Jen and I were talking about it earlier. You know, YouTube kind of goes in waves. And right now we are in a wave of nothing else to call it. Serious suppression. We have almost 64,000 subscribers, but you wouldn't know it by the count, how many people are watching live, as well as how many people are watching when we post shorter clips. A little frustrating because we work hard, in my case, in Jen's case, 6-7 days a week. So definitely. Oh, my mother's here. Love you, mother. So a little frustrating. That the numbers are down, because it's not due to anything we're doing wrong. It's due to most people don't see when we're live. I know a lot of you barely get the notifications. So keep it coming as far as spreading the word. Very important. Spread the word. Of course, you could share our stuff, press the like button, all those things, but also just tell your friends we're live, give or take. I'm going to try to be live at 5 o'clock Eastern on the dot going forward. It's just I'm juggling a lot of things, so I'm not always ready at 5 o'clock Eastern. But definitely spread the word. And now that my mother's watching, I have to be proper and not curse. I'll try. So remember the checklist. I need every one of you, 120 watching right now, press that like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the video. The more people that press like, the more people that will see the live stream. Very, very important. I'll remind you a couple times. If you're watching on your phone, just you'll see, if you're in the live chat on your phone, just press the X button real quick. Press that thumbs up button, and then you could go back into the live chat. We'll talk about membership later. Definitely. If you're not following us on Twitter, follow us at Status Coup. Less than 100 followers away. From 10,000. 10,000. Mom, if you know Twitter, follow us. So that's going to be exciting when we get to 10,000 followers on Twitter. Subscribe to our podcast. That's bit.ly/Status Coup Podcast. And join our email list by going to statuscoup.com. Enter your email there. So, I'll remind as we go later and the audience gets bigger, but I will be live on Sunday, noon Eastern time for our Sunday marathon. So, very, very excited about that. Again, I'm going to be in the field tomorrow interviewing some folks in Newark about the ongoing water crisis. Hopefully, we're going to have some content from Marcus from Arizona. Top secret, but he's covering something that I think you guys are going to really, really like. So that should be exciting. So we'll have some in the field reporting for you to show on Sunday at noon Eastern time. What else? Okay. So, what did Gordon Gekko say back in the day in the 1980s? Greed is good. Thank you, Botany Lane Pottery, $10 in the super chat. Only reason I'm catching this show is because I noticed it was 5 o'clock and came here. No notice from YouTube. Grrr. This is why I bring it up, Botany, and I love that name. YouTube is screwing us. My mother asked, what do you mean? What is YouTube doing to you? This is what they're doing, Lori. They don't notify wonderful people like Botany when we're live. She's clicked the bell. She wants the notifications, but they don't let anyone know when we're live, and it's super frustrating. So just put it in your phone if you have to. 5 o'clock Eastern time. If you don't see us at 5 o'clock Eastern time, we're coming. Don't worry. Just usually give or take 5 o'clock Eastern time. And before I get to that, don't want to forget, we are really getting closer and closer every day. So we're now $688 away from reaching $77,000. So thanks to Ray, $15 within the hour. Keep it coming if you can in the GoFundMe. We appreciate any amount. $5 is the minimum. Would love to get to $77,000 before Sunday. So, Gordon Gekko said greed is good, right? And basically, our entire government is based on that. Our government has been sold to the highest bidder. And what's amazing to me is it's very rare because corruption is so baked into the cake. Corruption is so baked into the cake of our politics. It's really not thought of as abnormal when there's something so corrupt. Or statements are made that in most ethical areas, people would want to vomit from how disgusting it is. So before I get to the statement, I want to show you an illustration. Sorry, the screen's going to go black because I forgot to put it in. But Colin really outdid himself today. Our graphic designer, editor extraordinaire. This is a graphic I would love to show you, because it really illustrates everything wrong with our politics. So there is, hold on, doing this on the fly. There is our friend Joe Biden. There is our friend, the uber progressive Senator Dianne Feinstein from California. Why are they just running up stairs with a giant pit of gold at the top? Why is this? Well, we get emails every night, Jen and I, because we're signed up, where Joe Biden, and to be honest with you, to Joe Biden's credit, he allows press into his corrupt fundraisers. So we wouldn't know this information that I'm about to share with you if there wasn't press allowed in the fundraiser. And remember, we got 200 people watching, folks. Only 115 of you have pressed that thumbs up button. Press that thumbs up button. It's right under the video. The more people that press the thumbs up button, the more people that will see the live stream. Got to get it up to over 200 likes. So we get these emails, and it's of a report from the fundraiser, what was said, who was there, all that. So last night, I get an email, and I just could not believe what Dianne Feinstein said to wrap up this fundraiser. I mean, I could believe it, but it just shows you everything that's wrong, and frankly, why Elizabeth Warren isn't going to do it, why Kamala Harris don't do it, and no one's going to do it other than Bernie. Let me read a little bit from this fundraiser for you. Former Vice President Joe Biden spoke to about 100 donors at the San Francisco home of Senator Dianne Feinstein and her husband, financier Richard Bloom. If you look into Dianne Feinstein, financier Richard Bloom, just so happens financier Richard Bloom has very, very, very much profited off of his wife, Dianne Feinstein. But I digress. Guests spotted in the crowd, including San Francisco Giants president and CEO Larry Bauer and Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, who has endorsed California Senator Kamala Harris, but not Biden. Guests noshed on salami and prosciutto and various cheeses and nuts beforehand. The minimum donation to get in was $1,000 per person. Well, I mean, $1,000, pretty damn cheap for a little salami and cheese, huh? $1,000 a person. Biden spoke for nearly 30 minutes, took a couple questions, yada, yada, yada. He spoke about President Trump, obviously, how our children are listening, and Trump is a bad, bad man, and our children are listening. And he talked about his international experience, Biden said, while he was in office. Biden spoke of Trump winning in apocalyptic terms. Apocalyptic terms, I tell you. We can handle, God willing, 4 years of Donald Trump. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to reconstruct domestic policy so it reflects who we are, Biden said. And who is that? We'll find out later. But 8 years of Donald Trump, I don't think this is hyperbole. 8 years of Donald Trump will fundamentally change the nature of who we are. Well, it just so happens Joe Biden and Dianne Feinstein, they told you who they actually are. And I'm no fan of Trump. We do need to defeat Trump. Let's take a look at what was said to end the fundraiser. I think we should go upstairs. There's a lot of major donors. Take a picture with them. Biden then went upstairs. Feinstein told the gathering, "Please, please, please, don't take anything for granted. Help as much you can." No, this isn't The Onion. This is what was said. You want it one more time? Here we go. I think we should go upstairs. There's a lot of major donors. Take a picture with them, Joe. Biden then went upstairs. Feinstein told the gathering, "Please, please, please don't take anything for granted. Help as much as you can." In illustrated form, Joe, go upstairs and kiss the ring, I tell you. The donors are waiting for you, Joe. The donors are waiting. Go upstairs, Joe. The money's upstairs, Joe. I mean, I guess this is not surprising that something like this would be said, but this is what the Democratic Party is offering. This is what the DNC is offering. They are offering Trump is the Antichrist. Trump is antithetical to our values. Trump is terrible for our children and, our very who we are and the what does Joe Biden say? The soul of America and all this jazz. Put us back in so we could just be corrupt behind closed doors. This is the Democratic Party's sales pitch. Sure, Elizabeth Warren's giving a different sales pitch, not as corrupt, sounds progressive, but ultimately, what our politics is, what the Democratic Party is offering, is a sprint up the stairs to kiss the ring, take the pictures, with Mr. and Mrs. Wall Street banker, fossil fuel executive, real estate executive, pharmaceutical executive, Silicon Valley executive, and every last one of those plutocratic, revolving door, usual suspect Neanderthals. Cynical progressive, corporatism is legal corruption. I agree. So why does this matter? Why does this matter that Dianne Feinstein ended the fundraiser saying, "All right, Joe, time to stop playing around. Let's walk up the stairs. Our puppet masters, our sugar daddies and sugar mommies are waiting upstairs to take a picture with you and write the check." Why does that matter? Because this kind of politics is how you're going to lose again to President Trump. I don't care what the polls said. The polls were wrong in 2016. There is a Trump voter, a hidden Trump voter that does not show up on polls because they don't share with pollsters that they want to vote for Donald Trump. Just like I believe right now Bernie Sanders is being, his numbers are definitely showing up smaller than I think they are because the Sanders campaign is working hard to expand the electorate to get people who traditionally do not vote out to vote. And those people will not show up on polls because pollsters don't call those people because they don't vote. But what's amazing, Eve Evans Orley, I didn't even know you were live. Welcome to our world. Welcome to our world that you didn't even know we were alive. And I'm not even getting into the GoFundMe push yet or the membership push yet. But really, why we want to grow our membership, which, by the way, we're currently sitting at 720, statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for as low as $5 a month. Why we are really trying to push and get to that 1,000 members by the end of this year. Eventually, we're not there yet. Eventually, we will want to broadcast on our own website. We have to totally redo the website because it's not up to snuff right now. But eventually we want to broadcast on our own website, which we control. YouTube would not control that. We would still be live on YouTube at the same time, but we would like eventually to build our own community at our website where it's appointment internet. You know when we're live, same time every day. We're going live there. You'll get notifications from our website. We might also have a text alert system. I'm making Jen's head explode with all these new things that we're going to have to do because we can't be at the mercy of YouTube suppression. I see it over and over and over again, these comments. I didn't even know you were live. I didn't even know you're live. We got almost 64,000 subscribers. Nobody knows we're live. Nobody sees. I posted a video from yesterday, about an hour and a half before I went live today, of an update on the Newark water crisis. It has like 130 views. We have almost 64,000 subscribers. We have a video at 134 views. Anyway, I digress. I don't want to spend the whole time complaining. So, and by the way, this is a super chat too. So if you're feeling super, GoFundMe, whatever. So, what's amazing to me, not only is Joe Biden corrupt, not only is Dianne Feinstein corrupt, you put a gun to my head, obviously Trump's corrupt too, but is this going to make, is Joe Biden's brand of politics going to make the uninspired, tends to not vote, or African American or Latino come out in Ohio or Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania or Arizona is in play? I know Trump is the Antichrist, but they need to be inspired to come out and vote for something. Is this the way to inspire people? Because you could call yourself middle-class Joe till you're blue in the face, but you know what I say to that middle-class Joe? I say this.
Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit!
What was that? You couldn't hear me in the back? I say this.
Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit!
Or, more simply put, we're, trying to up our production value here. Put a little sound effects going in. Let me know if you like in the super chat, if you like our new sound effects, because we're going to be adding more as we go. into the broadcast. So it's a disaster. It's a disaster. Joe Biden is a disaster. And if you need any more proof, if that's not enough proof, Dianne Feinstein and Joe Biden basically sprinting upstairs to, kiss the ring of the donors. Joe Biden's numbers just came out. Not so good. Not so good. April to June was the second quarter of the year. This was Joe Biden's first quarter because he announced late. He raised $21.5 million in that quarter, an average donation of $49 a donor. Well, from July to September, he's down $6 million. Down $6 million. Average donation down to $44, so that's a little bit better for him. But Joe Biden, the former vice president of the United States, leading in the polls. This, and you know what? I almost feel bad saying pathetic, because like in the old days, raising $15 million would be a big deal. $15 million, not a small amount. But when compared to Bernie Sanders, who's just raised more money than any other politician in this campaign, $25 million, over $25 million he raised in this same time period. $10 million more than Joe Biden. Part of, and it looks, all right, $10 million, but it's actually way more than that if you think about it, because Bernie Sanders' average donation is $18 a donor, which means he has way more donors than Joe Biden, which means he has way more grassroots support than Joe Biden. Also a problem for Joe Biden, which I said after this $21.5 million second quarter, I said something. The problem for people like Biden as well as Harris, a lot of their big money, that $21.5 million, came from plutocrats who gave max donations of $2,800. That's the max you could give. Problem with that, they can't give again. Whereas Bernie's getting most of his donations from Walmart workers, Amazon workers, teachers, nurses, working people that could donate again and again and again and again. Biden, there's only so much there's only almost so many rich people, caviar and champagne to go around. A lot of his donors are maxing out. So here you have Joe Biden, besides being corrupt, I mean, let's just call it what it is. And by the way, folks, we got 340 people watching. 198 of you have pressed that like button. I need every single person watching right now. Every single person. I need you to press the thumbs up button right under the video. The more people that press the thumbs up button, the more people that will see the video. We want to get the numbers up. So this is bad news for Biden because it shows he's fading. The last vice president of the United States, who was vice president to a wildly popular president, and Barack Obama, should not be outraised by a small town mayor from South Bend, Indiana. Theoretically, he shouldn't be outraised by Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, but he is. And to her credit, Elizabeth Warren's numbers came out today. She raised $24 million. So about $1 million less than Bernie Sanders, but still $24 million, a hell of a lot of money. So, I have my issues with Warren. We report on it here, but we got to be honest. She raised a lot of money too. J.E., thanks for the super chat, 270 in the super chat. So what's really standing out to me about this is I think you're going to start to see Biden's drop with the fundraising. I think you're going to start to see this reflected in the actual polls. Right now, Warren, in a lot of national polls, has moved ahead of Biden by 3 or 4 points. And in many of the early state polls, as I described yesterday for you, it's basically a 3-way tie right now. The latest poll in California, it's between Bernie and Biden in Ohio. Warren is several points behind both of them in Ohio. It's about Biden and Bernie are almost basically tied in Nevada. So Iowa, Bernie's a little further behind right now, even though a lot of those polls are nonsense. So what's really standing out to me, Bernie Sanders needs to go for the jugular against Joe Biden in this next debate. In fairness, we'll see how he feels as the campaign and Jane, his wife, updated yesterday. He'll be leaving the hospital this weekend, barring any changes, and then he's going to go back home to Vermont for a few days. So he should be well rested for this debate. Obviously, the last debate, his voice was almost gone, wasn't peak Bernie. He'll be rested for this one. I think Jimmy Dore spoke about it in an interview I think I saw him do on the Hill. Other people have spoken about it. Bernie Sanders needs to realize you have no friends right now in politics. Elizabeth Warren's not your friend. Joe Biden is not your friend. You can make up later in life. They are your competitors and they are your enemies. And they are enemies to what you're trying to achieve, particularly Joe Biden. So there's going to be 12 people on stage, so he's going to have to force his way into that, because all the candidates would be lucky if they get more than 30 seconds to speak. So Bernie Sanders really, really needs to fight like his life depends on it. Fight like his life depends on it, politically speaking, because it does. Because I think if Bernie Sanders comes with that working class fight, if Bernie Sanders points out these very fundraisers Joe Biden's doing, where Feinstein and him are jogging up to the money pit, if Bernie Sanders starts aggressively saying, well, how are you gonna lift the middle class when you've helped crush the middle class with NAFTA and TPP, and explain in a simple way that people can understand why those trade deals have created the economic malaise we're in, why those trade deals have single-handedly, those trade deals are in large part why you have that. And a jobs report that just came out today showing wages again stagnant and slipping. Booming economy. Yeah, for who? It ain't booming for you and I, that's for sure. So, I think Bernie Sanders, right now, his best chance to get back in it to where it's basically a three-way race. Because right now, in a lot of the polls, Bernie is slightly behind. I don't take every single poll as gospel, because a lot of them undersample younger voters. A lot of them have a small sample size. And again, I think there's a hidden Bernie vote that's not showing up in these polls, because they are targeting people who don't vote, which won't show up in the polls. But if Bernie, the most ripe fruit for him to pick at and gain is Biden, because a lot of Biden supporters, amazingly to me, nice people probably, but probably aren't getting informed from this terrible media, which I'm about to show you about that, make less than $50,000 but still support Joe Biden, and only have high school degrees and still support Joe Biden. They don't know that they're voting against their own interests. That's what Bernie Sanders needs to show. To me, would it be good for him to separate himself a little bit from Elizabeth Warren? Yes, absolutely. But I think what he really, really needs to do, is neutralize Biden and make it more of a direct contest between him and Warren. Because I think a direct contest between him and Warren, I think Bernie Sanders wins that contest. But Biden is a weak front runner. He's basically tied now as a front runner. There's no there. You want to recapture the soul of America? Well, this is Joe Biden's soul. Only Bernie Sanders can expose it. He can't depend on the New York Times, who is part of this debate. He certainly can't depend on CNN, who is moderating this debate. Only him can point these things out. And he's going to have more rest than he's probably had in 4 years. Because as I talked about this week, Bernie Sanders has been campaigning since 2015. He never stopped after he lost that primary. Moving on, and I want to say thank you. We just got, thank you, Cheryl Tyler, $10 in the Super Chat. It's time for Bernie to call Warren out. She's a corporatist, and all these progressive plans will die when her corporate donors tell her, forget about Medicare for all. Huge hidden Bernie vote, huge. Thank you for the Super Chat. Watch on Sunday, noon Eastern. We're going to have a story on Elizabeth Warren and her, let's just say, flexibility on single-payer health care over the years, all the way back to the 2000s. That I will have that for you on Sunday. We're also going to have some in-the-field reporting for you on Sunday. I'm going to Newark tomorrow to cover the water crisis, have some interviews. Marcus, our reporter out of Nevada, is covering some things this weekend that I think you're going to really like. He's going to cover something that's a little batshit crazy, I'm not going to lie to you. But it's going to be, get your popcorn ready. That's all I have to say. So tune in. Must see TV Sunday at noon. Mark Ryan, $2 in the super chat. Did you get that unofficial Bernie ad I sent you? Hey Mark, guess what I was about to do next? Are you reading my mind, Mark? But before I do that, I want to say thank you. We got some GoFundMe donations. Thank you. Evans, Orlean, $15 in the GoFundMe. Tanya, $25. Ray, $15. We're now $76,352. Thank you guys. I know that it's a lot to ask. We've been pushing this hard for 10 months actually, and you guys keep delivering. Anybody who has a couple dollars in their pocket, throw it in. We're not telling you what we're going to do. We're showing you what we're going to do. It costs money to go out there, even to Newark, New Jersey. It costs money to go out where Marcus is going. It's going to cost money to go out and cover the Keystone XL pipeline, which I'm trying to plan in the background now. I also am going to have to take a reporting trip. I don't want to say where, maybe next week, on an investigative story we're working on that's pretty major. Jen and I got a big break the other day. If you're a Status Coup member, I posted a members video on that to give you a little bit more behind the scenes. statuscoup.com/join. If you want to get bonus content, a lot more behind the scenes content, sign up as a member. So definitely, if you have a couple bucks, GoFundMe. So I want to show you this video, and I think the Bernie campaign should hire this guy like yesterday. It was unbelievable. I thought this was from the campaign, but it was from somebody called, his name is Matt Orfalea. Matt Orfalea. That's his YouTube channel if you want to subscribe. I'm just going to play it, and then we'll talk about it after. Here we go.
Is back, getting into the presidential race.
Democrats like somebody new, and that is not going to...
Bernie is back. Bernie is back, getting into the presidential race.
Democrats like somebody new, and that is not going to be Bernie Sanders this time.
It's really hard to imagine who the Bernie Sanders voter is at this point.
Bernie Sanders, fall back. Please get away from us.
Hey, Senator, great to see you.
Thank you for doing this.
He has a kind of gruff, curmudgeon-y side that is, of course, well known. He doesn't actually smile that much.
It's almost like Bernie can't tell the difference between kids and adults.
All right, I think you're dumb. I think you're dumb if you don't sit down and learn how to read and write. No, you were not born stupid. Come here. The only way I think you're dumb, I think when you think you're dumb. Because you're not.
He also, I think you're disheveled, you're unlikable, and you're pushy, and I don't think you should be leading anybody.
How old is too old?
I think the issue is, do you seem like you're in the contemporary world? He's a socialist from the 1950s yelling at people in the same screechy voice, without smiling, without any kind of personal connection. He looked like the angry man in the center of the stage saying, "Get off my lawn."
Viva Bernie!
And I don't think that's a good look for the Democratic Party.
I see him as sort of a not pro-woman candidate. You may have heard the term Bernie bro. The Bernie bro, right? Somebody who's a bit younger, whiter, I think, than the overall Democratic primary.
I'm with my magnificent vanilla brother named Bernie Sanders. That's Brother Bernie Sanders we're talking about. That's Brother Bernie Sanders we're talking about.
Socialism has been a manifest disaster.
Alec would still be here today if I had known that I could come to Canada.
Alex Smith died after trying to ration a vial of insulin when he couldn't afford more.
So his idea about, free health care, he has seen the manifest atrocities that have occurred under socialism.
$1,000 got me 6 months of insulin for my son. That's still less than what I pay a month in the United States.
Gloria Steinem has suggested that younger women are supporting Bernie Sanders so they can meet boys.
Hello, Bernie. We lost our condo. got foreclosed on because of my medical bills.
Like, I don't understand young women who support him.
I trust that Bernie Sanders is going to fight for health care and to lower prescription costs.
Of all the presidential candidates, you're the one that I trust.
Thank you so much for what you're doing. You're just giving us a hug. Thank you. And we got your back.
I think he comes off as mean. I think he's disparaging.
I don't want to overpromise here.
Bernie Sanders makes my skin crawl, and I can't even identify for you what exactly it is.
Bernie Sanders has done nothing between 2016 and today.
Thank you for everything you've done these last few years. You've helped to reset our political discourse, and are demanding that we center our politics around justice and equity. I am hopeful because right now, there is a mass movement of people from all over this country, rising up.
Thank you all very much.
It ain't Bernie, it is us.
If we come together, we will win.
People always say, oh, you're being too vocal.
Hey, Bernie, you don't have to yell.
I don't feel I'm being vocal enough. We are not being vocal enough. When is enough enough?
He sounds very, very shouty.
Louder. Yeah, we gotta get louder. How many kids are gonna have to make this sacrifice and die? How can you sleep at night knowing that kids can't afford insulin? How is that possible?
It's not right.
Wow. You know, I don't hide. I think it's important to just be transparent as a journalist. I've always made clear that I'm a Bernie guy. It doesn't affect, the facts that I report. If I had something suspect or I found something suspect about Bernie, I report it. When I feel the need to criticize Bernie, I do so. But I think why that video stood out to me, and shit, I just lost it. Jen, could you put in the super chat the guy who did that video's name and his YouTube channel? You should definitely subscribe to his YouTube channel. If he has a Twitter, if we had the money, I'd hire him on the spot. I mean, it's amazing. That is an amazing video. That's an amazing video. I think why that video stood out to me, and honestly, gets me slightly emotional. I might be criticized for saying that you're a Bernie bro and you're not a journalist, but I'm just being honest. Why that stands out to me is because what I saw there, and I don't want to speak for Jen, but I think she would agree. What I saw there is why I do what I do. I remember when I spoke with Cenk in 2015 about coming on board with the Young Turks to cover the campaign, to tell you the truth, I guess I was kind of a typical, Democrats are better than Republicans kind of person. I certainly wasn't pro-establishment, but I didn't know as much as I know now, because I hadn't seen that much. I had traveled internationally a bit, but I hadn't traveled in this country enough. And very quickly, traveling in 2016, not just the campaign trail, but other stories, I learned this country is corrupt. This country at its core is not only corrupt, but evil. And people might say to that, then leave. But I think it's worth it to fight for what it could be. And that's why the more I went on the road and I met people similar to in that video, people that are struggling to make it, people that don't have health care, people that are being poisoned by water and lead, people that are being shot at while praying because a pipeline is being rammed through their community, people that, are being lied to by their government, people being forced out of their apartments with no notice due to greed. I could go on and on. Why I started thinking, obviously, I was let go, but before I was let go, Jen and I were already discussing us going out on our own and doing this because I felt there's a real alternate reality that's in this country. The reality that I see out on the road is not depicted in the New York Times. It's not depicted on CNN. It's not depicted anywhere. Because in reality, and I know I cover the corporate media quite a bit, if we had the money, to tell you the truth, I would hire a full-time person just to expose the corporate media and do nothing else but expose the corporate media. The reason I find that so important is not for clickbait. It's not to get views. It's because the corporate media is essentially one giant super PAC for Wall Street. The corporate media is basically one giant super PAC for big oil. The corporate media is basically one giant super PAC for big pharma. The corporate media is basically one big super PAC for evil private foundations. The corporate media is basically one giant super PAC for big real estate, for Silicon Valley. That's what the corporate media is. It's not actual journalism. Are there some good stories? Yeah, 1 out of 10 maybe. But the corporate media exists to cover that up, to cover up what he showed you in that video. RB299 in the super chat. Matt Orfaleo is a video wizard. Did I miss any more? Edwin, $2. Thanks, Jordan and ORF. I'm crying now, my brother. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are crying. So, Copernicus Tinker, $2 in the super chat. MSNBC pretending Bernie hiding out, conspiracy BS. So, I think why that video is so powerful to me, that's why we launched Status Coup, to try and expose what was shown in that video. What's really going on, because nothing changes fundamentally. There's two things you need. You need a political revolution, and that's what I believe Bernie is presenting, lower level candidates are presenting, but you also need to wake more people up that aren't already with you, right? You need to wake up more people that don't pay attention to politics, that are so apathetic or fed up that they don't pay attention, or that don't know. If my mother's still watching, I love my mother to death, but she is one of those people that works 6-7 days a week, works very hard, and doesn't have time to know what's going on. And when she does have off, because she has a small business, she just wants to watch mindless TV. There's a lot of people like that. The goal, I think what Bernie is doing, and I hope what we're doing, even though we have a lot against us. Thank you, Botany Lane Pottery, $20 in the super chat. Your coverage of Standing Rock of the 2016 election, along with Jimmy and the WikiLeaks, blew my mind and my world apart. And the indoctrination starts in pre-K, unlearning everything. I couldn't agree more. Botany. Thanks for the super chat again. Couldn't agree more. But I think another thing that stood out to me, to tell you the truth, I know the media is very afraid of Bernie Sanders. If I had my druthers, I would regulate the hell out of the corporate media, where they are mandated to have certain types of guests on, of certain socioeconomic ladders, racial groups, certain income groups, certain gender groups, a lot. Because what you're seeing is out of touch, intentionally out of touch, mostly wealthy, frankly, members of the bourgeoisie. That's why you have people, oh, Bernie Sanders makes my skin crawl. Oh, Bernie Sanders, he shouts, he yells. Well, maybe you need to go out and fucking see why people are shouting. Chris Cillizza and these, frankly, stupid-ass, female guests. This is a man fighting for universal health care, universal education, universal rent control. If you feel that makes him anti-women, if you feel that makes him misogynist or too loud or rude or harsh, then you don't know what the fuck is going on in this country. And more importantly, you don't care. Almost 500 people watching. 343 of you have pressed the like button. Press that thumbs up button. It's right under the video. Let's get the audience up. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say. I think it's an amazing video. I hope that guy gets hired by Bernie's campaign or somewhere. If we had more funding, I would certainly knock on his door, because editing is tough, but telling a story is tougher. And that was a real story that he showed. It was amazing. So, bravo to him. Watch your mouth, Jordan. Yep, demonetized. Watch your mouth. Bravo to him. And yeah, that gave me goosebumps, I'm not going to lie. And if people want to call me a Bernie bro for it, what can I tell you? Speaking of, we are now at, okay, just got another $5. 76,357. The only thing I'll say, and I'm not going to try to like cheaply raise money off of that, why I keep pushing to finish this GoFundMe, and we're less than $9,000 to go to our goal, is because we've shown you we can show and expose those stories. We've shown you we can break big stories, but you can't do it if you don't have the car. You can't do it if you don't have the ability to drive on the road to those stories, or fly the plane to those stories, or Jen and I, I'm not going to get into what it is, but Jen and I have to file some Freedom of Information requests to get emails between certain government officials on a big story we're working on. Sometimes you get a bill for those it's corrupt, but sometimes a bill for those Freedom of Information requests can run you $3,000 to $5,000 just for them to provide the emails. This is a way they block and try to suppress information from getting out to independent media, things like that. If you're the New York Times, that's pennies. They just pay it. But for other outlets, it's cost prohibitive sometimes to get the information and the emails you need. So GoFundMe, become a member, because I'm not comparing us to Bernie or what he's done. We're trying to wake the masses up, and we're trying to put a face to the issues Bernie Sanders is talking about as best as we can. Membership is the best way to do it. Our goal is 1,000 by the end of the year. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. I've received several emails in the last few weeks from people who have canceled their memberships elsewhere. I'm not going to go into where, but you could take a guess, and signed up for us. I'm not telling you to cancel your Patreon or membership to other places. All I'm saying, if it's in your budget, $5 a month or $10 a month or $179 annually, I think it makes a major, I know it makes a major difference for us to have the consistent revenue coming in to travel. So, moving on, final story of the day. So, if you remember last year in the infancy of status quo, Jen and I went out and we covered a pipeline fight, the Mountain Valley pipeline in Virginia. Snorky, watch your mouth. Kush Renata, $5. Time and Corp Media has played accomplice to mass death abroad through war and burial of true corruption. Regulation isn't enough. They deserve jail. I couldn't agree more. And frankly, to tell you the truth, I think that Elizabeth Warren, she's not a revolution, folks. Is she better than Biden? Absolutely. Is she better than Kamala? Yes, I think she is. Some of you might not agree, but I do think she's better than those. But I also think she has shown that she's ready to compromise with the Democratic establishment. She is more than happy to water down whatever her proposals are. And at the end of the day, is she going to take us to the promised land to reverse what's going on? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think she is the radical change we need. Do I think she's better than Trump? Yes, I do. Some of you don't agree with that. That's fine, but I'm not going to lie to you or just tell you what you want to hear. Do I think she's better than Trump? Yes. But am I going to close my eyes if she's selling people out or doing the wrong thing, no, I cover her very critically, and I'm not going to stop covering her critically if she gives me reason to cover her critically. In the primary and the general. I don't care. Status quo is not going to flip the calendar, and if she were the nominee, just look the other way. No. That's for other outlets to do. So, about a year ago, we were on the ground to cover the Mountain Valley Pipeline, but there was also a pipeline, the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, a totally unnecessary, totally dangerous natural gas pipeline going through Virginia, North Carolina, and I believe Virginia, North Carolina, and parts of West Virginia. And shocker, they were going, because with natural gas pipelines, it's not just the pipeline. It is massive pressure stations, where those pressure stations, Jen, why am I blanking on the name? What the big pressure station next to Union Hill Church. I am so blanking right now on what the name of those things are. If you remember, Jen, put it in the super chat. They had there's these massive pressure stations that help keep the gas at a high pressure as it travels along in the pipeline. So they were building in a historically black community, a majority black community, a lot of older senior citizens in this black community. No, I know it's Union Hill. I'm asking, what is it called, those pressure stations that we went to cover that they're fighting against in Union Hill? Those big, massive compressor stations. Okay, compressor stations. So this big, massive compressor station was basically being dumped in the backyard of a church with freed slaves, where freed slaves are buried. That compressor station, which is going to emit methane and all sorts of toxic chemicals into this historically black community where freed slaves are buried, they won the battle. They won the battle against this oil company, against this energy company, because the final permits were denied because of the environmental racism. Because of the environmental racism, the permits were denied. Well, shockingly, the U.S. Supreme Court has announced that it will hear arguments on the Atlantic Coast Pipeline early next year. Because, the Supreme Court works for corporate America too. The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to review a Fourth Circuit Court decision revoking a key permit for Atlantic Coast Pipeline construction, a decision that effectively halted construction of the project. Atlantic Coast Pipeline spokesperson Aaron Ruby called the court's decision to review the case, quote, a very encouraging sign and provides a clear path forward to resolve the important issue. According to Ruby, arguments will be heard early next year with a decision expected by June. Ruby classified the pipeline as necessary for the economic vitality, environmental health, and energy security. Bullshit, or bullshit. So, the Supreme Court basically going to essentially be willing to reverse this denial of the permit. In a joint statement, the Southern Environmental Law Center and the Sierra Club said, we will defend the lower court's decision in this case. The Atlantic Coast Pipeline is a dangerous, costly, and unnecessary project, and we won't stand by while Duke and Dominion Energy try to force it on our public lands, threatening people's health, endangered species, iconic landscapes, and clean water along the way. Quote, since construction on the ACP began last year, 7 crucial permits have been vacated, resulting in a halt to construction since December of 2018. Dominion Energy proposed this pipeline in 2014. In the years since, the energy landscape has changed dramatically, and we now know that this $7.8 billion pipeline is costly, unneeded, dangerous, and will only add to our greenhouse gas emission problems and burden Duke and Dominion customers with the cost for decades to come, the Southern Environmental Law Center said. So this is definitely a story we are going to go back out and cover. But for those of you that are new subscribers, because we covered this a while ago, I want you to know what the potential victims of this pipeline look like. Again, very similar to Standing Rock, very similar to the lead contamination in East Chicago. It seems that a lot of these issues, a lot of these pipelines, a lot of these uranium mines, a lot of these terrible, toxic, planet-destroying projects are being dumped on the reservations or the backyards of poor black and native and brown communities. I want to show you, and he does talk a little slow, but God, is his words powerful. Here's part of the conversation I had at the church, Union Hill Church, with a descendant, we think, a descendant of a freed slave. There are freed slaves buried in this church where they are putting the compression station in the backyard of this church in a historically black community. Let's take a look at part of my interview from last year.
I was hoping that, which is still, I believe it'll go away, but we don't need this polluter in our neighborhood. We don't need this polluter anywhere in the world, to be honest about it, because we do have alternate energy. And to pollute and plunder the earth for profit gain this way, it's just ungodly. 600 miles, 42-inch pipeline, enormous. Our beautiful watersheds, and sad part about it all is Dominion ACP cannot guarantee there will not be any leaks. As a matter of fact, they don't guarantee anything.
All pipelines leak. It's not really a matter of if, it's just when it happens.
Exactly. And what we are looking at, what we're facing, when it leaks, then our water is automatically contaminated. Water is life. And we depend on underground water source for humans as well as our animals. I'm a farmer as well. I raise cattle. And we have several creeks on the property. And we use a well system for our water for our home. As a matter of fact, all the people in the area, all our neighbors, same way. So when our underground water source become contaminated, then we have no other source. What are we to do? This proposed compressor station, we know it will pollute the air. The majority of the inhabitants here are seniors. We are dealing with health issues. And we don't need any additional contributors to our health issues for a group of few people to make a profit. And yet in return, we receive nothing, even though we ask for nothing, except to be left alone. And our grounds, even the animals, everything will be disrupted.
Descendants of freedmen, and kind of seems pretty obvious that the oil company chose somewhere where they value the life less. What are your thoughts?
True. It's worded in such a manner, they use the term less consequential. Fewer buildings, fewer people. So they use thinner wall pipes, space the shut-off valves farther apart. And even the report, the original report they made, the population was erroneous. Some low figure they came up with within a square mile. That was not true.
Yeah, I think they said 25 people within, a square mile, when other folks came in and tested it, researched it, it was like 160.
True. It appears that this was an intent to get a special use permit in an agricultural district in a predominant Afro-American community.
It is our belief and our understanding as well that that the area was targeted because it's a minority, area, and it's traditional, or it's part of normal operations that when you do these kinds of projects, that they'll always put in locations where there is little representation. People are basically poor. They're not considered so much in the mainstream. We're in a rural area. There's some educated folk there, but the ratio. And what they also did was, now federal law says that they can't really come there in our area, but how they skirted around it was they took the population of our community and spread it throughout the whole county. And so instead of being, they diluted us by, I knew that number right off the top of my head, but I think it was well over 20%.
Well, I was listening before I came to some of the reporting that's been done on this, and the oil companies, they were surveying how many people live within a specific, yardage or specific area. And they said, there's like 25 people within a couple hundred yards or something like that. Not a couple hundred yards, but there was 25 people within a few couple blocks. And then a reporter came around and did it, and it was 166.
Right.
So it seems like they purposely, basically tried to make it like not a lot of people live here.
Purposely and intentionally. Mm-hmm. Even all of the reports that Dominion, and when I speak of Dominion, it always represents the industry. They purposely and intentionally dilute the numbers, and it's misrepresentation. Mm-hmm. And they're experts at doing it. I mean, they have people on, these are folk who are paid on, and this is what they do, and this is what their job definition is. Mm-hmm. And they become experts in it. And so then there are people like us, everything that we do is, extra time, volunteerism, or whatever you have to do to get the message out. They practice what I call the veracity of truth. They present some truths, but they present it the way that they want the outcome to be. And whereas we just tell the truth, which is the real thing.
So that was the first video was a resident of Union Hill, who, it's hard to know for sure, but believes he's a descendant of freed slaves. That church we spoke to him at has freed slaves buried right next to it, like right in the backyard. And the compressor station for the Union Hill pipeline, which again will emit mass methane and other contaminants into this poor black community, senior citizens mostly, is basically on top of a graveyard with freed slaves. America. United Corporations of America, that is. So the Supreme Court now willing to hear this, meaning willing to possibly reverse a lower court's decision to stop this pipeline. This is why, systemically, the whole country is corrupt. From the political, from the executive body, Trump, yes, corrupt. From the judicial to Congress. It's all corrupt. That is why you need radical political revolution. And another thing, frankly, and let me say thank you, just got a couple more donations. Connie, $20. Tony Clifton, $12. Sheridan, $5. Richard, $5. We're now $606 away. $606 away from $77,000. Keep it coming in the GoFundMe. This is, I show you these clips to remind you this is what Status Quo does that frankly I don't know any other outlets doing. These are so important, these stories, because this is what's actually going on in this country. And it's very, very important that we are able to do it. So keep it coming in the GoFundMe. I'm sure Jen, possibly with Joseph, our new cameraman, will go out and cover, speak with people in Union Hill again, speak with people in Virginia about the Mountain Valley Pipeline, which pipeline resistors are still fighting against. That's another totally unnecessary natural gas pipeline going through Virginia and West Virginia that is going right through the Appalachian Trail, going through hundreds, if not thousands, of water bodies. It is a ticking time bomb right in the thick of the steepest slopes in America, all for profit, all for oil companies. Even when the existing pipelines in Virginia are only at half capacity. They don't need to build new pipelines. But again, it's all for profit. It's all for greed. All of it. And before I end, breaking news, Senator Bernie Sanders has been released from the hospital. Let me see if I have the statement from the campaign. I want quote Senator Sanders issued a statement upon discharge from the Desert Spring Hospital Medical Center. I want to thank the doctors, nurses, and staff at the Desert Springs Hospital Medical Center for the excellent care they've provided. After 2.5 days in the hospital, I feel great. And after taking a short time off, I look forward to getting back to work. Please find below a statement from Senator Sanders treating physicians Arturo E. Marchand Jr., MD, and Arjun Gura, MD. Quote, after presenting to an outside facility with chest pain, Senator Sanders was diagnosed with myocardial infarction. He was immediately transferred to Desert Springs Hospital Medical Center. The senator was stable upon arrival and taken immediately to the cardiac catheterization laboratory, at which time 2 stents were placed in a blocked coronary artery in a timely fashion. All other arteries were normal. His hospital course was uneventful with good expected progress. He was discharged with instructions to follow up with his personal physician. Or as MSNBC says, where is Bernie? Why is his campaign hiding his condition? Is it a cover-up? Is it a conspiracy? So Bernie Sanders was in the hospital for 2.5 days to get a very common medical procedure done. As I've reported this week, anybody, doesn't matter if you're old or young, could have a blocked artery. Men as young as in their 20s get arteries, stents, and women could get it too. So obviously at 78, anything with the heart, even a minor procedure, is noteworthy. It's newsworthy. But I also don't think it should be overstated that there's, he's about to drop dead. This is a common thing. And who knows? The time off and the resting could really, really make a difference for his energy and just kind of the campaign in general. This man has been going at 120 miles an hour since 2015. So taking a week or so off might not be a bad thing. It might not be a bad thing. So before I wrap up, a couple reminders. We are going to be live on Sunday. As always, we go live on Sundays, so we could raise money for Status Quo. Definitely show up at noon Eastern time. If you want, feel free to pitch in before that. We'll definitely have good stories to show you. We're also going to have some in-the-field reporting that we're doing this weekend to show you, so I'm excited on that. Tomorrow we're going to Newark to cover the water issues there. Marcus is currently out covering something that I think you guys are going to like, so definitely tune in at noon Eastern time on Sunday and spread the word now. Tell your friends, family. Status Quo. Tell them to subscribe. Tell them to check us out on Sunday and Monday through Friday. And if they so choose, we got to grow. Membership is how we grow. So if you said to me, Jordan, what do you want? I can't do both. I could do GoFundMe or membership. Join us as a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Makes a big difference. And I look forward to finishing this GoFundMe so we could totally shift our focus to building our membership. But right now we're trying to really finish this GoFundMe, give us a little bit more of a runway to travel. Thank you for watching. Of course, if there's any breaking news, I'll go live over the weekend before Sunday, and I will see you guys then. Peace out.